Alright, so welcome back everybody. So for this video, I'm going to show you guys how to play Dinos Not Assembled, and I'm also probably going to review it as well in this video at the end. Now this is a kids game, so if you have kids, then this game might be for you. If not, if you don't have kids, then you might not enjoy it, but you might enjoy playing this with your kids, potentially. So let me explain how you play Dinos Not Assembled. Okay, so I want to say first of all that there's two of each of these different dinosaurs that you could potentially build. The object of the game is to be the first player to fill in your side of this museum, basically, with 3 dinosaurs. If you're the first person, the first player that does this, then you win. So technically, you're going to be playing on all sides of the table, and each player is going to have their own museum display to put their 3 dinosaurs. Now, in order to build these dinosaurs, you're going to have to gather fossils, okay? There's a bag over here that is full of tiles, okay? Full of them. And they're going to be your fossils. In fact, we have this area here where we have some fossils. So each player is going to get 2 of these cards, these dino cards, okay? I'm going to show you the pictures of the dinosaur that you're going to try to work on, but they're going to show you the fossils that you need in order to complete the dinosaur. On your player board, you're going to have 4 locations to put your fossils. 1, 2, 3, and 4, okay? This is also where you'll put your cards face down. They're supposed to be secret from the other players. You don't want your opponents to know what cards you're working on, because it's potentially possible that somebody else is working on the Tyrannosaurus Rex, or the Brachiosaurus, for instance. So you're going to try to find these types of fossils to finish your dinosaurs. You'll notice right away that we have one fossil that matches the Tyrannosaurus Rex here. And you'll also notice that that tile also matches this one as well. So you would just need 1 more of these, basically. But first, let me explain how the game is going to work, how it's going to function. So first, the player who's going first is going to get this, this cool little fossil thing, to indicate that he's going first. Now, the first player, they are limited to what they can do on their first turn. There's 3 potential actions that they can do. One of the actions that they can do is they can plan. When they plan, all they're going to do is draw the top card of the dino deck. That means you only start with 2 dinos, but you're going to need to be working on 3 at some point because you're going to need to finish 3, right? But that doesn't mean you can't draw more of these as the game goes on, because you're going to realize as you play that it's really hard to work on just 3 at a time. You might want to have several cards potentially. So that's one of the potential actions that you can take, is you can plan for your first turn if you're the first player. Another action you can take is you can dig. If you dig, you're only going to take 1 of these fossils and then put them on your player board, just 1. And then the third action that you can take is you can clear. So if you don't like these tiles here and you're the first player, you can clear them. You can discard them and redraw 4 new ones from the dirt bag. So that's what this is called, the dirt bag. And then once you've redrawn the 4 of them and put them here, then the 4 that you discarded are actually going to go back into the bag. They're just not to be put back into the bag until after you've drawn them, so you don't draw these accidentally all over again. So that's something to note. Also, you'll notice that each of these tiles are being placed up in a certain spot with these green hands. So you'll always place the tiles, when you take them from here, from the dig site, to your player board, you'll also always place them so that way the green hand is what is showing, okay? That is relevant. We will explain why that is relevant in a moment. But yes, that's something you can do. Then after the first player has taken their turn, then the actions will proceed as normal for the rest of the game. So instead of drawing 1 token, or one tile, when you take the dig action, you'll actually draw 2, of your choice, okay? And that's every player, including the first player. It's just the first player who's going first has a slight disadvantage of going first. He doesn't get to take 2. I guess it's a way to mitigate who's going first, especially if you're playing a 4-player game. So yes, you can take 2 of fossils at a time when you dig. If you ever take tiles you can't take because you already have four fossils, okay? If you already have 4 fossils and you decide to take dig, you can take 2 for sure, but then you're going to have to discard something, meaning it's going to go back to the dirt bag. So that means you can only have 4 regardless of the case. So, but you're allowed to take that action even if you don't have room here, but you can still only have 4 here, okay? That's how that's going to work. Now remember, each dinosaur will require 3 fossils to complete. So you'll always have at least one that won't obviously work with the dinosaur you're working on. So it gives you a little bit of leeway when you're trying to complete your dinosaur. So that's the dig action, okay? Let me explain the steal action next. Yes, you can steal your opponent's fossils. Now, because we are all working on different dinosaurs, okay? Because we are all working on different dinosaurs, we might actually be working on the same ones. And while these red tiles, let me explain that they're less common. So they're rare. The red ones are rare, but the blue ones are more common. So the red ones will show up least amount for sure. And at the same time, you will always need 1 red tile to finish a dinosaur. So they each have their like own unique red one almost, if you will. And sometimes, while you're not necessarily working on the same dinosaur, a lot of the dinosaurs have the same fossils, okay? These 2, for instance, don't have the same ones. But if you'll look, this dinosaur here has this fossil, right? This one here. But the Tyrannosaurus Rex has the same exact one. So you might end up taking a fossil from the dig site another player wanted to complete their dinosaur. So as an action, a player can steal. So let's say I had, I don't know, this one, okay? Let's say I had that fossil there, and my opponent wanted it. They could steal it. Now, when you steal a fossil from another player, you're only stealing 1. And then the fossil you're taking is going to go to this side, meaning it can't be stolen again. So your opponent who lost his fossil can't steal it back, okay? So once it's stolen, nobody can steal it from you, so it's safe. That's the advantage of stealing, is when you steal from another player, you don't have to be worried. Don't have to worry about losing the fossil that you just stole. But because it happened, it's going to cause the security guard to come to the player who just lost their fossil. So if a player is stolen from, then the security guard will come here, and nobody can steal from this player again until somebody else is stolen from. So if you're in a 2-player game, this player will not be able to steal from this player again until this player decides to steal from that player. So if this player never decides to steal, then it'll obviously ruin the other player's scheming ways of stealing, for sure, because then they won't be able to steal again. So that's one way to stop stealing, especially in a kid's game. If you're playing a 2-player game, just don't steal again. Just don't steal yourself, even though the other kid stole. And then you don't have to be worried about losing your fossils again. Isn't that nice? So that's something, at least. That's at least a little consolation to the stealing mechanic. But if you're playing a 4-player game, then there's only one of these security guards. And so if somebody else is stolen from, then you'll put the security guard on the other player that was stolen from. And then you're back to square one, and you have to worry about your fossils potentially being stolen from other players. So that's dig. So we explained dig, and we explained steal, and we've explained plan, which is just drawing a card. And you're still only going to draw 1 card when you plan. So as a normal action, if you decide to plan, you're still only drawing the top card of that face-down dino deck. And then clear, we explained as well, you're going to clear all of the tiles, put them back into the bag after you redraw 4 new ones, okay? So those are So those are 4 of the 5 main actions. There's one more action. The 5th action is when you have the corresponding fossils to create a dinosaur, then you can do the action called make. Now, let me see if I can maybe try to find some tiles or tiles that work with one of these dinosaurs so I can explain that. Hold on here. Okay, there's 1, there's 2, that's not the right one, I need more. Oh, here we go. So there's those 3. Those 3, I need those 3 exact fossils in order to complete the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Hold on, let me put the rest of the tiles back into the bag. Okay. And let me replenish the dig site anyway, because it's not supposed to look like that. So let's just put out a couple more just so we have that taken care of. Okay, there we go. So once you have the 3 fossils that you need in order to complete a dinosaur, then you can take the action make. But you can't take it on the same action that you took another action. You're still only allowed 1 action per turn, so you're going to have to wait until your next turn to do it. Which means that's when you start to sweat. Because you might have the 3 fossils you need, but if a player steals one from you, and you don't have the protection of the security guard, then that could throw a monkey wrench into your plans for sure. But suffice it to say, if nobody steals from you, and you have the 3 fossils, and it's now your turn, then what you're going to do is you're going to discard the fossils that would have helped you complete said dinosaur. Okay. And then they're discarded from the game. And then you'll find the corresponding dinosaur meeple that matches the picture, which is this guy here. And you're going to put him in one of your displays. Okay. There we go. And there we go. Now we have a dinosaur. And like I said, the first player who manages to do this 3 times wins the game. That's the whole game. There's no other special rules. There's no other potential possibility of anything else happening except for being stolen from, obviously. That's pretty much the whole game. That's a whole game. That's how you play this game. So let me just kind of talk about some of the things that I noticed from this game. First of all, for those of you who have kids and are thinking of getting this game for your kids, it comes with a coloring book. So if your kids like coloring and coloring books, then there's some cool dinosaurs to color in, for sure. Maybe your kids, maybe you have a whole range of kids, and maybe this game is a little bit too mature for some of your younger kids, but maybe your younger kids would still appreciate this coloring book. So that comes with the game. The bag, this dirt bag, is really nice. It feels nice to the touch, feels nice inside, does not bother my skin at all. So I like that. It works well for the tiles, so I didn't have any issue with that. Obviously, the meeples are cute, and kids will like the cuteness of the meeples and the cuteness of the dinosaurs. You know, they're not ferocious. This isn't Jurassic Park. They don't look like they're going to kill you. They look like they just want to cuddle with you. You know, it's designed for kids, obviously, so that would make sense. It also comes with these sleeves, so if your kids, you know, are eating, or they have just dirty hands, and you want to keep the cards in the best shape possible, then yes, you can sleeve your cards, and you don't need to go out and buy sleeves to sleeve your dinosaur cards. So isn't that nice? So yes, that's something. So the components are all really good quality. I don't have an issue with any of the components. So let me talk about some of the things of the game. One of the things I noticed from this game is you really need to be working on multiple dinosaur cards. You only start with 2, and honestly, that's not enough. I found myself needing 3 or 4 to be working on at a time because it was really hard tracking down the fossils. It took me 4 or 5 turns of just clearing the tiles to find the one tile I needed to complete one of the 2 dinosaurs that I started with. It took forever. And I know kids don't have you know, they're not very patient, right? So they're not going to be probably patient enough for the amount of time it takes to actually complete your first dinosaur. It took forever just for me to complete one dinosaur. The game says it's 30 minutes long, but that's only if you're, well, you know, actually getting the fossils you need that you're drawing from the bag, or, you know. And of course, the stealing factor is going to slow the game down too, because you could have, that happened to me. I had a fossil, and I just needed one more round to finish, and I could just make that dinosaur and have it done after a first few turns. But then player 2 stole the one fossil that I needed, because that player 2 needed that fossil for his dinosaurs. You know, I'm not pointing fingers, but you know. So, you know, that is going to be slowing it down the game for sure. So while this is a kid's game, it's not necessarily the best kid's game on the planet. Still, it's not that bad. It just depends on if your kids are patient enough for that potential possibility. Maybe your kids don't mind if their things are stolen. Maybe it'll just make them giggle. I don't know. But I noticed the stealing factor was definitely a big problem. But if you're, like I said, if you're playing a 2-player game and you've got one kid that likes to steal and the other kid doesn't like to be stolen from or doesn't like to steal, well, then it's a protection to not steal if you get stolen from. So that's nice. I guess you could house rule it so you don't steal, period. But, you know, and it's kind of a drag if you're stolen from and the fossil you needed was like rare, was one of these or something, and it was stolen from you, you know, because, you know, there's 2 of each of these dinosaurs, so it's possible they needed this particular fossil, right? And if they stole this, it could mean you never get it. You never get to build that dinosaur and complete it, which, you know, is awful, especially for a child to have to go through, you know. So, you know, stealing is not good in general, right? But in this game, it's not good for kids. I don't think it's a good mechanic for kids. But like I said, it just depends on whether your kids don't really mind that or not. And I think, though, I think this would be best played with 3 players, 3 people, 3 or 4 people. I don't think it's really a good 2-player game. Like I said, the only reason why this would be a good 2-player game is if you didn't like the stealing mechanic, or you had a kid that didn't like it, and you had a kid that did. It probably wouldn't be that great for the kid that did, but yeah, like I said, the security guard protecting you for the rest of the game is kind of a nice deal. You don't have to worry about being stolen from again. You just can't steal yourself, which, honestly, you shouldn't, just because your friend stole from you. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. 3 or 4 player game. The reason why I say this is a good 3 or 4 player game is because there'll be more dinosaurs being worked on. So each player will be working on 2 of these cards, and that's 8 dinosaurs being worked on, which increases the likelihood that players will need a fossil from here anyways, which will help you go through the bag and get those fossils. So you're not spending 5 turns just clearing, because you don't like any of the fossils. You're just not getting the ones you need. So, but basically that's what I think of Dinos Not Assembled. It's a kid's game for sure, but not necessarily maybe the best kids game. Maybe this is more played with your parents. I think this is more of a family game than a kid's game. I mean, it's definitely meant for kids for sure, but I think your parents should probably play this with you just because of the stealing mechanic and the length of the game that could take quite much more longer than the box actually says. So, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my review and how to play of Dinos Not Assembled. And I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.